Welcome back, and it's finally there after my slightly chaotic first impression video. Here it is, the full review of the Ultrasone ISAR ANC headphone. Please be aware, I'm not a sound or headphone expert. I'm just a guy who likes headphones and likes music. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, but still, I wanna tell you my impressions, my more detailed impressions of this headphone. And yeah, let's start with build quality. Like most ANC Bluetooth headphones, the ISAR is made out of plastic too. I have to admit, it feels like high quality plastic, like it doesn't feel like it will break easily. And also, it's like reinforced with metal at the sliders, so that shouldn't be a problem. And it's not as flimsy as maybe the Quiet Comfort. And I mean, at least it's really light. Like it feels durable and still light. Though sometimes when walking and walking faster and the headphones maybe they move a little, you have some clicking and creaking in the cups. I really don't notice it at all if I'm just like occupied. And if I'm listening to something, it's gone. But if everything is quiet, you have your ANC on, you sometimes hear a little click. Still, it's just a minor issue and it's not all the time. It's just like, from time to time you notice it. Aesthetic wise, it's not too flashy. You have this gray gunmetal kind of finish, like in these different shades of gray. And you have these red stripes with the S-Logic logo that are kind of like highlights. You have your Ultrasone logo written on both sides, and left and right are clearly marked. So that's a good thing. You also have a few, wait, let me show some rubberized buttons here. It's for Bluetooth pairing, for on and off, and the ANC modes. Furthermore, of course, you have your USB-C charging port, and you get a 3.5mm input. So you can use them wired. Though you can use them wired, the included cable is kind of short. I haven't measured it, but I think it's like around maybe 70 centimeters. So it's enough if you got your phone in your pocket and you want to listen to the headphones using the cable. But for example, putting it in the 3.5mm of my computer or my little amp, it's just like I barely have any range of like movement before it like gets like torn out or like whatever. Like it's just a little short. So maybe if you know you're gonna use them wired, you prefer to use them wired, get another cable. And I know it's just a charging cable, but why are all these headphone developers, like producers, whatever, including like these really, really short charging cables? It's not just ultrasonic, it's like with like every headphone, the charging cable is just like at least make it whatever, like 30 centimeters, like so you have like a little range to to put it in somewhere and then maybe place your headphone like on a different place. I don't know. It's just like, of course, it doesn't matter like 90% of the time, but I just think like longer cables would be a better choice. Like I said in my first impression video, these are really comfortable, like even for hours. Since they're built from plastic, they are really, really light. And I found the padding to be like really soft and it feels really nice on your skin and not too hot. I mean, it's like some kind of fake leather memory foam, so of course it gets hot. But I've seen worse. Like it's not too bad for being fake leather. And I think it's not as soft as, like, for example, the Quiet Comfort padding, but it gets really close. So it feels a lot better than most other like Bluetooth headphones that are not focused on being really comfortable. Um, so these are like at the forefront of comfort when it comes to Bluetooth headphones. I think so. Um, One thing I also talked about in the first impression video is that these are not made for smaller heads. Like you can extend them quite far, but even if you put them back all the way, these barely fit my head. Like I can wear them like this, like with the sliders all the way back, and they will fit well. But I have like maybe an average sized head. Like it's not small, but it's also not like big. But for example, my girlfriend who has like a smaller head, she cannot wear them. These are too big. Like they won't sit on her ears. So that way, these are pretty much unusable for people with like smaller heads. So that's really a thing to I think to think about before buying these. So yeah, if you already know you have like a smaller head, like maybe you have like problems with like other headphones, then I wouldn't buy these. But otherwise, you should be fine. Otherwise, the ear cups are, well, they are not huge, but they are big enough. I think if you have like really huge ears, it's maybe a bit weird to wear them, but otherwise you should be fine. Like I have average sized ears and I have no problem with them. Like they fit really, really well. And I'm not touching anything like driver wise or anything like that. It's just really, really comfortable. Regarding sound, there's actually a lot to unpack here. When I did my first impression video, I was just using these with the ANC turned on, which actually is the standard mode. When you turn on the headphone, it just starts up with like ANC on. So if you don't push any more buttons or change anything, the ANC will be on and you will start listening to music with the ANC on. And we are all used to that the ANC changes the sound somewhat. Like sometimes it's a little more and sometimes it's a little less. Usually it gets a little more bassy. And yeah, but with all Bluetooth headphones I had before, it was noticeable, but it was kind of like you could just ignore it because it didn't really change the sound that much. Like for example, I had the Sennheiser Peak C550 in the second version, and yeah, you could hear it, but it wasn't extreme. With these, it's actually like extreme. Like I've never heard another Bluetooth headphone where the ANC basically changes the sound, so you get like another pair of headphones. It's really that extreme. I will start describing the sound with the ANC turned on, since like I said, it's the standard mode when you turn the headphone on. So there's a strong boost in low to mid bass, I would say, which isn't really a good thing because it's like pretty slow and like really boomy and it sounds kind of muddy and overpowers like a lot of the mid and high frequencies, which are kind of laid back but actually sound really good. Like you can, if you can pick them through the bass, you can actually hear like a lot of details, and you can hear that there is something that just tries to get through the bass. Although it's not as bad as, for example, the Anchor Soundcore, which I had like a while ago, which has like a, what is it, like a standard 10, 15 dB boost, like in the, from the sub bass to the high bass, I think. And it was kind of like like you had this bass and it was kind of sibilant at the same time, and it was just a really weird stock sound profile. These are not like, these are, if you like bass, you will like these with ANC on. Like, but just for me, I I kind of like a little boost in the bass, but more like neutral. And for me, it's too much with the ANC on. But at least they sound really smooth. Like, you don't have any sibilance, you don't have like any peaks and no harshness. And you can hear that there is some quality sound, like that just tries to get through the ANC boosted bass. Of course, with like this kind of boost in bass, electronic music sounds really good. Like, even to me, this just sounds really good. And it's just like when you listen to rock music or like guitar music, where you really want to hear like the instruments and everything. Especially the drums sound really weird. Like, there's like a blanket over the drums, and then the drummer keeps hitting the drums through the blanket. Like, it just sounds like a little off. So after all this, I just turned the ANC off, and wow, like the sound changes so much. All this bass that is like bothering me because it's like covering all other instruments and all the other frequencies just becomes really punchy and really tight, while still retaining like all the body, while given like a really good foundation to the other frequencies. This sounds just really, really good. Like, when you turn the ANC off, this is a really I wouldn't even describe it as a V shape, because it isn't. It's really a more fun version of a neutral headphone. Because even with like ANC turned off, the bass is slightly boosted, but in a really, really pleasant way that gives a lot of room for the mids and the highs. Like I said before, there's no harshness, there are no peaks. Like, the mids and the highs are just really laid back, and you can turn them, like, you can turn the volume up, not too much, so protect your hearing. But you can turn them up, and there's like no fatigue. Like, the highs are not harsh, not piercing, nothing. The mids are not chowdy or anything. It's just like really, really well balanced. And all of this with like a slight boost in the bass. So the sound of these really impressed me with ANC turned off. And I would actually say that these are like the best Bluetooth headphones I ever listened to. But this is 200 euro, and I've tried quite a few in this price range, and this is actually the best. Like, I even prefer this to my Audio Technica SR50 BT, which are already sounding really good. Like, they are like more neutral, and they can be kind of harsh. So these are like even better. I feel like now I have to talk about S Logic again, because of course there's more to sound than just like bass or highs, but also soundstage and separation, details, everything. And again, I'm really impressed here, because I said in my first impression video I cannot really hear a difference, but going back and forth between the ISAR and other Bluetooth headphones I got, I can really say that you actually have like a soundstage with these. Like, it's a lot more, like, of course it's not gonna be an open back headphone, but the soundstage is way wider, and you can actually like, it's a little bit blobby, like left, right, center, but a lot less than with like other close back Bluetooth headphones. And you can actually pinpoint stuff, you can like place stuff here and there. Finally, I can actually tell a difference. I guess I was listening for like 30 minutes, so I guess I wasn't paying attention that much. And now I've used them for weeks and actually figured out like what to look for, I think. I also found it to be yeah, detailed enough. I don't really know what to say about that. Of course, it just sounds better. Like you can hear a little more than with like other Bluetooth headphones in this price range. It actually sounds a lot more natural than what I was used to when wearing headphones outside. And it just sounds more like the sound is like in front of you, like on this side or on this side, and not just in your head. Also, I felt like it doesn't sound like everything is just like stuffed together. You have like a somewhat more separation between the instruments. You can actually use them wired because they have like a 3.5 millimeter input jack. And I felt like using these wired with my Fire E10K amplifier, so just like a budget amp deck. The soundstage actually opened up even a little bit more. Maybe it was placebo. I really don't know. But I felt like it opened up just a little bit more and the bass cleans up like a little bit more too. But I feel like you can just ignore this. I mean, it's an ANC Bluetooth headphone. You don't want to use them wide, and the difference is not like words. It's just like really a little bit. Regarding the internal microphone and the call quality, I have no complaints. It sounds really clear. I recorded a mic test that you will be able to hear now. This is the microphone of the ISAR ANC Bluetooth headphone. I just connected the headphone with my computer, started the audio recording program, and yeah, that's what it sounds like. I think it changes the quality of the microphone when you call someone or maybe when you record something with your phone, but basically you get like an idea of what it sounds like. With these, you can go a long time without charging. They are advertised to last 32 hours without ANC and 30 hours with ANC, so barely a difference. And Ultrasone did not exaggerate. I have the feeling that you can actually achieve these numbers. I went over a week without charging and using it like mostly with ANC, sometimes around 2 or 3 hours a day. And like sometimes I will just leave them like on my neck and leave them on, like I will not even turn them off. And it just doesn't seem to drain like a lot of battery life. It's great. So there was like after a week using them every day for like several hours, there's still like 50% left. It's like it's great. I'm charging them like whenever I think about it. I could not find a specific number of the Bluetooth range, but I felt it's quite big. I could walk through my 60 square meters apartment and into several rooms, like with like 2 or 3 walls beyond the my phone and the headphone, and I did not get like any connection issues, like not even like maybe that's it fades out or fades in, like just perfect. And at work I actually tested like how far can I go, and I think it's maybe around 30 meters, and that's with like wall between my phone and the headphone. I think it's 30 meters, maybe 25, like around this. Maybe you can go somewhat longer when there is no wall between. But yeah, and I think that's, well, quite impressive again. I just had issues with like, usually it does, like if it disconnects, like when you leave the Bluetooth range and it disconnects, it does connect automatically when you're back in the Bluetooth range. But I had this like a few times where I was like maybe like 10-15 minutes out of the range. So it did try to connect again, but it didn't work, obviously. And then it just gave up, and I had to do it manually, like when I got back to my phone. I don't know if that's intended, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me, but then I have to think, oh yeah, I'm back, I have to connect again. I also read that it does support like the usual Bluetooth codecs, AAC, SBC, and aptX HD, but I couldn't find any support for LDAC or anything. So we haven't talked about the touch controls. um, in my last video, I completely failed at like using them successfully. I actually did figure out how to use them, and they work. They are actually not bad. Like one-time tapping just doesn't do anything. I think everything works with like two taps, and then of course with like swipes for louder and next song and everything. And for the swipes, you have to actually, if you swipe too slowly, it won't work. And that's what I did before. Like you have to swipe in a specific speed, and then it works fine. And when you figure that out, then you can use them like without a problem. It actually works, and it works fine. Sometimes it does not register like the double taps when you like start and stop playing stuff. And sometimes it does not register the swipes, but most of the time it works. I wouldn't say they are like the best because, like I said, they don't register every time, but they are fine, they're usable. After using the active noise cancelling pretty much every day for the last few weeks, I came to the conclusion that it does its job quite well. It's not as strong as, for example, the XM4 from Sony or Bose or AirPods. These are not that strong. You will still hear a car driving by, like you will still hear voices next to you, but everything gets like quite a few decibel quieter. And the noise cancelling goes up to 40 decibel, and in some areas it reaches that number, but not all the way. I found it quite strong. For example, a few birds right outside my window were like chirping really, really loud, and I got these on my ears, and it's just gone. Like it's completely gone. So you won't hear kids playing outside or anything. And for example, for listening to a podcast or even like quieter music, you can really concentrate on this stuff, even if you're like on a busy street. I can imagine these being really effective when you're on a plane because they're really like excelling and canceling out like white noise from the outside, like the loud plane noise of the turbines. I think these are really good for that, like AC units, water boiler, anything. I found some noises were not really filtered, like I said in my first video, like your footsteps, for example, which is kind of weird because like every kind of like low frequency noise gets cancelled. So when you step down, you will still hear like a loud clack, and it's just a little weird. Yeah, but still, it's quite strong. I just would not use it like if you really wanna like zoom out of everything because you can still hear stuff. The passive isolation is really good. Like I feel like half of the noise canceling is just you putting these on your head because it's just like the padding. I don't know how they do it. It's just really good in canceling, like in making everything just quieter. There is a slight hiss when you turn on the ANC. It does not bother me, but I'm not sensitive about like hissing or white noise if it's not too annoying. So all in all, I think the ANC works fine, but like I said, it doesn't reach Apple or Sony level. Like most of the stuff is pushed like far into the background or like even completely cancelled. But like I said, you will still hear someone is talking next to you. Like you will still hear a voice. It's just really like far away. You will hear a car passing by. The noise will be cancelled out enough that you can listen to a podcast, even if people are talking like quietly, and you will be able to do that with these. To sum up the review, for €200, I can wholeheartedly recommend the ISAR wireless. In my opinion, it's like a great sounding headphone. It's comfortable. Maybe the only thing is that the ANC is not as good or not as strong as, for example, Sony. So if that's important to you to get like completely to cancel out everything around you, then maybe these are not for you. And also if you have a small head, maybe too. But otherwise, you can get these, and I think you will like them. The sound is great, the comfort is great. They are just €200. It's not like a €400 headphone or something. Like these are even cheaper than Sony or Bose, and they sound like way better. So yeah, that's just, of course, it's just my opinion. Maybe you don't like them. I would recommend them. So I guess I'm done then. That was quite a long review, but yeah, if you bought the ISAR, let me know in the comments what you think about it, and also let me know if you have any criticism of the review or just anything. Write it down in the comments. Goodbye.